We should work together more. You exposed the Blackbriar program. We both after the same thing, right? We both want to take down the corrupt institutions that control society.
I'm not on your side.
A scene from this weekend's blockbuster Jason Bourne, with Matt Damon reprising the role that made him an action thriller icon, sure to bring in big bucks at the box office.
But huge, expensive movies aren't the only thing out there. Smaller, independent films don't get as much hype, and even the very best can fly under the radar for moviegoers. Let's find out about some from Fandango managing editor Erik Davis. Good morning.
Good morning.
I love when you're here with this list, because some of these movies are so good. So let's just start right off with The Witch.
Yeah, The Witch, super creepy horror movie that came out earlier this year. You know, I think audiences want it to be a little bit more witchy. It's called The Witch, not a lot of the witch in it. But you know what? Critics love this because of its commitment to its period setting, 1600s New England. Really, the dialogue, the costumes, just really authentic in that way. The story about this family who kind of ditches their community. They get kicked out and banished into the middle of the woods. And it's more of a psychological horror about this family that's torn apart. Is it because of the witch? Is it because they're all going insane? That's the fun of it. Audiences wanted a little bit more witch, but seek it out. It's on DVD, Blu-ray, VOD, the whole nine.
Another movie that the critics liked, but audiences seemed less enthusiastic about, the sci-fi thriller Midnight Special.
Yeah, this is a neat little sci-fi movie about a little boy who's got special powers. He's on the run from these various groups who want to exploit his powers. Got a nice throwback vibe to the kind of movies they made in the 80s, the kind of stories they told in the 80s. You know what's interesting about that? There's a Netflix series right now called Stranger Things that's like blowing up. It's like the series of the summer. Midnight Special has a lot in common with Stranger Things. So I think it's going to find a new audience for people that are like kind of binging on this show. So if Stranger Things is your jam and you know who you are, seek out Midnight Special.
Tell us about a movie called Sing Street, because I was surprised to see this one on the list. It had such good reviews, an amazing soundtrack, but it seemed like no one got it.
Yeah, I have such a crush on this movie. Not only is it one of my favorite movies of the year, but I think it's the best coming-of-age movie of the year. I think it's got the best soundtrack of the year.
Irish movie about a teenage rock band, we should say.
Yes, Irish movie about a teenage rock band, about a boy who forms this group in the 80s in order to woo the girl of his dreams. The music is so addictive. I feel like they should have leaned into the music a little bit more. If you go to YouTube, find a music video called Drive It Like You Stole It and watch that. I guarantee you're watching Sing Street tonight.
This is from the same director who gave us Once, am I right?
Once, Begin Again, John Carney, yeah. So he's really great with music. And so there's some classic 80s tunes in there, but also original tunes that feel like they were inspired by the 80s bands that the band follows. So yeah, really great.
Next, a film called Everybody Wants Some, a coming-of-age comedy from Boyhood director Richard Linklater. He was actually on this show talking about this film, which was kind of billed as a spiritual follow-up to Dazed and Confused, but it didn't seem to catch on either.
No, you know, it's a hangout movie like Dazed and Confused, and I feel like Dazed and Confused became a cult classic after it was on reruns in the background of dorm rooms across America. Same kind of thing with Everybody Wants Some. This one takes place right before college begins in 1980. And it's really fun. Up-and-coming cast, very similar to Dazed and Confused. Great jokes. Kind of reminds me of like an Animal House or a Porky's. You know, so maybe we have to meet back here in 5 years from now and then look back and see if it's on the cult list.
What about The Nice Guy? So this is a buddy cop comedy, and this one had Ryan Gosling in it and Russell Crowe.
Yeah, biggest stars of all the movies on this list. This is a really great buddy cop caper from the master of buddy cop capers, Shane Black, he wrote Lethal Weapon and The Last Boy Scout and The Long Kiss Goodnight. Really fun, inventive, great script from, it takes place in the 70s. Yeah, I love this film, but it just didn't, you know what? It came up against Captain America Civil War and Neighbors 2, and I think it just couldn't find the right audience. But if you're looking for a movie about bad boys and Jason Bourne isn't your thing, find The Nice Guys. It's still playing in some theaters.
Okay. The Lobster, an odd romantic comedy starring Colin Farrell and John C. Reilly.
Yes, odd is the right word. This is a movie that takes place in a future society where if you don't find your mate, you get turned into an animal. This is not your meat and potatoes kind of movie, but you'll know within the first 10, 15 minutes if it's your thing. And if it is your thing, I think you'll find it very rewarding. It's got a nice, dry sense of humor.
And Rachel Weisz is in this one,
Yes,
right?
she's in this movie as well. And yeah, it's kind of weird. And I think it's got a certain kind of sense of humor that you need to see if that's your thing.
Swiss Army Man. Tell us about it.
Just like the last one, like The Lobster. Cerebral, strange, absurd. This is the one where Daniel Radcliffe plays a dead body that washes ashore and befriends Paul Dano. And so, yeah, you know, I think that you'll know again in the first 10 minutes if this is your thing. If you could surf this movie's vibe all the way, I think you'll find a really fulfilling movie, a really beautiful movie about a man that's sort of falling in love with his own loneliness. But everybody else may just be like, this movie's too weird for me.
All right,
I'm out.
Finally, a documentary called Holy Hell.
Yeah, this is an interesting documentary. This guy, he was an aspiring filmmaker. He got roped up into this cult back in the 80s, and he filmed all of the stuff that happened to him inside this cult, and it gets creepier and creepier as it goes on. But, it speaks to, there's a couple of documentaries this year. Wiener is another one, where you're getting this inside access to this world that you've never seen from the inside, only the outside. And so this is another one. We see inside this cult, and this guy's weird. I think they were called Buddha Field. And it's like very hippy-dippy, but then it just goes down a creepy path. So it's probably not going to make you want to join a cult.
Even though none of these movies will probably have sequels. I love when you come to do this list. Erik Davis, thank you so much.